Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the FRS. We are here in Melbourne, Australia for PC Division 4, Round 8 of this Season 6 contest. Albert Park has featured on every FRS calendar except for one, which was Season 3. However, this visit is very different from last season with all of the changes to the circuit. Speaking of, here is the circuit, 5.2 kilometers around, 14 corners now. Has lost 2 turns in between turns 8 and turns 9, and of course significant reprofiling to turns 1, 3, and then turns 6, 7, 8 have all changed around quite a bit. But your action zones, the opening chicane at the end of the pit straight DRS zone, turns 1 and 2, trying to getting a move done. It's a high-speed corner, not a heavy braking zone, but it does lead immediately onto another DRS zone and into the slightly changed turn 3. Still a heavy braking zone, but the DRS zone servicing turn 3 is activated by the one that also serves turn 1. And then the reprofiled turn 11, much more angular here after that high-speed chicane. You have a little blast of DRS down to that right-hander. Australia featuring the soft, medium, and the hard. The medium's about 1 second slower than the softs. The hard's about 1.6. The hards will go 25 laps into this 29-lap race. The mediums will do just about 19. The softs are 2 steps softer. The C5 compound will only go about 10 laps in this race. So while most every other track has sequential tires, this one has one split away from the rest of the pack. Here is your championship picture. Space Ghost on top by a race win. So even a race win for Stolen Valor would still leave Space Ghost standing on the top step, although that would really reduce the championship arrears. Renovatio was on a good run and is up to 71 points now as soon as the game wakes up. There it is. We've got some cars on their outlaps. It looks like we're actually about to have Stolen Valor start up their first flying lap of the session. So across the start finish line, down into turn 1. Turn 2 is a tricky little curbing zone there that can really upset the car if you're not careful. And then down into the braking zone for turn 3. A little bit widened, a little bit smoother, not quite as slow as it was in the past. Now through this little nip and tuck parking lot section. Old cars flat out through that right here. Now a little bit of a lift is necessary to navigate it safely down into the changed turn 7. Turn 6 and 7. And then you've got this long blast. So while Australia used to be a mid downforce track, now likely looking to be more of a low downforce circuit. You can see full throttle, 77% of the lap, and a huge chunk of it is right there. Tricky chicane, curbs out to get you. In PC Division R, we saw some drivers running a little bit afoul of that. And now into the new turn 13, brake as late as you dare. Avoid that sausage curve and try and get the car rotated. A much narrower exit than the entry. Little sweeper of the right hander. Now this little tricky, slow left-hander. Get the car to the left-hand side as quick as possible. Now this right-hander. High downforce dependence as you lead on to just about every DRS zone on the circuit. And Stolen Valor is going to set the initial bar on a 119.4. Looks like Renovatio is going to be the next across the line. Will they work their way up? A 21.4. So no improvements really for Renovatio, although they typically do double warm-up laps to get the car in the window. John Lemon goes into the 20s, 120.1. Space Ghost next across the line will go provisional pole of 19.429, only 1 millisecond splitting Stolen Valor and Space Ghost. Project Stealth goes into the 19s as well, puts himself provisionally P3. Oba Mendez, the next Ferrari across the line, opening up that rear wing slot in the DRS. And crossing the line, he goes up into 5th place overall. Ivory Lightning in the other Mercedes working through this sweeping right-hander. A little wide on the exit. Looks to have been able to keep that lap valid. Is going to cross the line at 21.268. So it puts him towards the back of the grid. 9 drivers on the circuit at the moment. We do have Chronicle who will be joining us midway through qualifying. And will make it a nice even 10 drivers on the grid. Zhao goes up into provisional P6. Squids will be the next across the line, and it looks like every driver is going to get a valid lap in, although it looks like Squids is actually on a recharge and has gone quite a bit slower. It's 25.3, so keep an eye out, see if he opts to go for a second lap. He has a pretty full battery. We'll keep an eye on the telemetry as we follow him around the circuit. Renovatio, I think, may be on a flying lap just as well. We'll keep an eye on the timing towers, but you can see just working their way through. The traction control kicking in for Squid. Well understeery there. Plenty of steering in and revving out quite a lot. Looks to be struggling a little bit with the manual gear setting. Grab Renovatio, who is indeed on that double warm-up, it would appear. No, it's gone slower through there. So he did improve. He went to a 19.7, so he was on that double warm-up action. We'll grab Squids again as he's about to cross the second timing beam here for between sectors 2 and 3, and is actually behind his previous best lap. Now, he did back out in the third sector of the last lap, so there's likely some significant time to gain, and we see Chronicle ping onto the radar as he is now officially in the session. Oh, very deep is Squids there, so deep into the corner, and a mistake has been made. He's going to go ahead and wait for the Mercedes to pull through before rejoining. Get off the racing line. We'll grab Space Ghost, who is just about nip and tuck with his previous best lap. A couple of just about a tenth down on his previous best. Next sector split has lost even a little bit more time. So no improvements being found by Space Ghost here. 11 minutes left in this 18-minute qualifying session. If he has a mighty final sector, though, 2/10 can be found if you get a couple of corners just about right. And oh, big snap of oversteer into the barrier. Luckily dead on the nose, which means it's just going to be a lost front wing and will not be a retirement from the session. The first driver really running astray of where he should be on the circuit. And that already a lap that was down and is now just a little bit tougher to handle. So mistakes being made, but most drivers keeping it relatively clean. All drivers are on an out lap at this moment or in the pits. And I believe it is Stolen Valor who is indeed the furthest around the track on this out lap now. Getting the tires warmed up, still in that special Ferrari livery that we saw a couple of weeks ago. With that bright yellow Ferrari on the rear wing and that painted bit of the engine cover. Still a great looking livery in my book. I would love if they kept that Ferrari on the rear wing. It looks just classy with it there. Of course, Real Life F1 has moved away from the special livery, but still in the game, still being used. And we will see Stolen Valor start up their next flying lap here down into turn 1. Looks to have been quite comfortable on the different portions of the curbs onto the exit. Still a little bit of room left to push it a little wider, but we are just about creeping up to the halfway mark of this 18-minute session. Down through the parking lot section, shooting out of the parking lot back onto the roads around the Lake of Albert Park. And at the first sector split has found just about a quarter of a second, a little more than that. So he is indeed finding some time already. And it looks like that local yellow is just Squids moving out of the way as he's on an outlap of John Lemon, who is on a flyer in the Alfa Romeo. Another improved sector for Stolen Valor there. That's going to put him on track to take provisional pole. Still needs to execute in the final sector. We'll just have to see if he is able to get the job done. Couple of corners left to go in this one. Sweeping right-hander. You can take a fair bit of that apex curb if you're careful. Oh, and Oba Mendes is out. So first driver to crash on that exit of turn 5, which has caught so many drivers out over the course of this weekend already. But nip that. Stolen Valor first into the 18s at 18.979. John Lemon has found about a tenth of a second in the first 2 sectors of the circuit. Now needs to find just a little bit more coming across the line. DRS is wide open, does find just about a half a second, goes all the way up to provisional P4 at the moment. Next up, I believe, is Chronicle on the flyer. Is that orange dot is Squids just starting his flying lap. And Chronicle looking to set his first lap time of the session. Looks nice and tidy through the final corner. Rear ring opens up a decently long run and goes into the 21.2s. Next up across the line is going to be Space Ghost, looking to take that provisional pole back away from Stolen Valor. No, he's backed out of a lap. He is not improving. Zhao into the pit lane has had an invalidation, as does Project Stealth. Renovatio next across the line. Looks not to be an improvement on that. And Space Ghost is out. Space Ghost has had a crash on the exit of turn 2 as he geared up for another push lap. Renovatio on that second push. Ivory Lightning slow through that first lap as well. I believe John Lemon and Squids, I think, is on a flyer. No, Squids picking up at the worst possible time as he's found the barriers. So both McLarens needing new front wings in this session already. It has been a tough day for the two McLaren drivers to start off. And Space Ghost on that 19.4 has set a decent lap time, a relatively good benchmark. But will no longer be able to improve. So no opportunities for improvements there. We'll grab Renovatio, who we know has been doing that double warm-up system. Has improved slightly on his previous best lap. Does need to find nearly a second, though, to get up to provisional pole. About 8/10 to get there. And I don't know if he's got an entire second in the final sector. We'll just see how he manages to snake his way through the tricky last couple of corners. A little bit uneasy, but getting on the throttle nice and comfortably with the rear wing open, crossing the line. He does improve significantly, but still finds himself about a half a second off of Stolen Valor, 19.4. So that is going to move Space Ghost down. Ivory Lightning on a 20.4 has found a little bit of time. John Lemon, oh, and a big snap of oversteer, and he's going to keep it out of the walls, fortunately. But after a good first and second sector, that is the end of that lap for the Alfa Romeo driver. It's like Zhao is the furthest around the track as both the Mercedes have done their flying laps. Zhao and Stolen Valor on out laps. So we will hang with the Alpha Tauri driver as they get geared up for some pace to go for a flying lap. Try and work their way up towards the sharper end of the grid. Pretty close grid order aside from Stolen Valor putting quite a mark to beat. Aside from Stolen Valor, you've got 1 second covering P2, just over a second covering P2 to P8. So very good runs from most of the drivers. He'll jump on board for Zhao in this flying lap as he heads down into turn 1. You look for that little split in the wall. Just after that is the braking point. You typically want to try and take a little more curve of turn 1, but it is a valid and comfortable way to get through the first couple of corners now. You work your way back left across the track, about that 100-meter board. Get yourself slowed down for that right-hand hairpin, and now all about modulating the throttle, keeping the rear end in check as you work through these sweepers. A little bit of a blend, not a full lift through that right-hander, but you blend out. He's found 0.3 of a second on that first sector. And now right here, you just put your right foot flat to the floor. And work your way down to the tricky chicane that can make or break an entire lap. That light box is about where you want to brake. Take some curving into the right-hander. And he is safely through there. Seems to be a decent improvement in the middle sector as well. So he's found some time now. We just have to find a little bit in this final sector. I think he's about a half a second up if my memory serves as I was looking. Now hard on the brakes into this hairpin. Get the car rotated. And ease the power back on. Feed in the throttle until you feel that rear end sit down. It does get easier as the downforce comes on. And Zhao across the line improves by nearly a second. A 19.6. So a very good lap for them. Stolen Valor has bailed into the pit lane. So no lap going for Stolen Valor. Squids is also going relatively slowly. I think he is trying to gear up and get some battery in the car to go for a second flying lap. One lap will take you about 51% of your battery, and it looks like that late shift has cost him a little bit of time, just kind of bouncing the rev limiter down on the main straight. We'll keep an eye on Squids as they do have quite a bit of time to find in this one. They're the only driver outside of the 21s at this stage, so there's some plenty of opportunity for them to close up to the pack. Relatively tidy through turns 3, turn 4. Running right out to that curbing, letting it kind of shoot the car back to the left. Turn 5, stays comfortably inside the track limits. We will see where they are at. They are down or just a hair, a half a tenth on their previous best lap. It looks like Chronicle is on a flyer and has made his way past, I think, Renovatio. But no, Chronicle off the track, it looks like, through turn 3. There's yellow flags, and he may have been impeded. Those dots were kind of on top of each other for a little while. One of the Mercedes was right next to that Aston Martin. And well wide of the track is Squids. So that is a significant mistake there for the McLaren driver. We will grab John Lemon, who is on his way around the circuit. First sector split, finds 2/10. So he is on track now. If he can find similar improvements in the latter sectors of the lap, could put himself inside the top 3 or 4, as there's yellow flags once again as Squids is off to the outside of turn 11. Through turn 11 goes the Lemon himself into this right-hand sweeper. There is a Aston Martin just ahead, and it looks like that is Squids getting out of the way of the 2 cars coming through. Chronicle looked to have had a moment himself in turn 3 earlier in this lap, and John Lemon's actually going to get a nice little slipstream from the Aston Martin ahead. Down this main straight, goes to a 19.1 provisional P2 at this stage, so a very good result for the Lemon. Stolen Valor is on a lap here, and it's not a very quick one. He has mostly backed out. We'll find that is Renovatio, who is going for that double cool or double warm-up, as it looks like Ivory Lightning, with quite a bit of battery in hand, is doing the same. A bit of a kerfuffle in the first sector, as there are quite a few yellow flags. Looks like John Lemon just pulling off the racing line, as is Squids, and having to thread through that is Zhao. Luckily, Zhao just on an out lap, not on a push lap, so it won't affect them all that much. And Stolen Valor still remains the mark to beat so far in this one. Ivory Lightning shooting down the track, going to not find any time. Chronicle has found quite a bit of time through the first 2 sectors, is looking to get himself up into the low 120s, maybe into the high 19s, or if he has a mighty final sector, the mid 19s. So opening up that rear wing, heading down into the start finish line. He is going to go a 19.4, the mid 19s. He's in the top 5 now, is the Aston Martin driver. Zhao working his way through the final couple of corners. Is he going to find any kind of improvement? Rear wing opens up. I believe he may be just starting this flying lap. He is indeed. A 19.6, and the checkered flag is out. The Stolen Valor taking provisional P1. We'll see, I think Renovatio on a flyer has found a little bit of time, needs to find a significant amount of time, very wide off the track there. Did not invalidate, but that is not exactly going to find you a lot of pace. And Renovatio bailing out of that lap, so no improvements for Renovatio, no improvements for Ivory Lightning. And that will be it. Chronicle going slowly through that sector. Looks to have run out of fuel, likely, since he's still moving. And that will put Stolen Valor on pole. The 18.9 stands up to the end. John Lemon putting it on the front row. I believe it's his first front row start of the season. A 19.1. Renovatio in 3rd. Space Ghost with the retirement in 4th. Chronicle jumps to 5th. Zhao 6th. Project Stealth in 7th, though he had connection issues and was not able to put another lap in after his first. Oba Mendez with the retirement on P8. Ivory Lightning in 9th, and Squids unable to really hook together a lap. And that will be a P10 start. However, with only 10 drivers on the grid today, a finish is points. So tiptoe around, even if you need to make 4 front wing changes. so stand by. We may have a red flag incoming. If Project Stealth is unable to join. He was trying to rejoin in the session, but we will keep an eye out for that. He should be able to reconnect as we move between the race, or the quali and race session. But here's your official qualifying results. Stolen Valor, P1. John Lemon sharing the front row. Renovatio, third. Space Ghost, fourth. Chronicle in the top half there. Zhao, P6. Project Stealth. Then you got Oba Mendez, Ivory Lightning, and Squids making up this 10-car grid that we've got today. And we will get ready to rock and roll. So keep an eye out to make sure that Project Stealth gets on the grid. If not, we will throw the quick red, get the lobby reformed, reset. Now that qualifying is done, we can just set it by grid order. It will give the drivers some extra tires in the race, but the soft tire being so soft, 2 steps softer than the medium compound this week, not likely to be a particularly useful race tire. So we will stand by as things get loaded up. We will hang out for just a moment. I'll keep an eye out on the grid and make sure that the drivers are loaded in fully. Before we get underway. Alright, so drivers exiting the session. We will just have to hold up for one moment. We will put the pillow over the face of F122 to start. Once that is done and dusted, we will get a new lobby up. Apologies for the little bit of delays. But we will get back to racing very, very, very soon. Kill a couple of extra processes that we maybe don't necessarily need at this stage. Try and free up a little bit of headroom for the computer. And we should have the lobby back up in just a short minute here. So all those. Okay. So thank you for the patience as we apparently have some issues with PC this race weekend. PC Div R had a red flag. I believe PC Div 1 did as well. And now we have a inter-lobby red flag in PC Div 4. So PC struggling this weekend with the game stability. Happens from time to time. But luckily it happened in between 2 sessions, so easy peasy to hopefully get reconnected relatively quickly here. I'm going to keep an eye on Discord to make sure that everything is good to go. Loading into the new lobby, joining the session now. Looks like all the drivers are indeed in. And the grid is getting formed up very shortly. There we go. Stolenbauer has finally set his Ferrari. So, everybody is in. Grid is getting reformed. We should be underway relatively quickly. Give me one moment. Oh, Ivory's got it. All right, we are good to go. So they've got that, and now they're just getting grid order set. Shouldn't take very long. And we will get right back to the action. Only 10 drivers, but track where you can follow and stay relatively close. It is interesting, though. Be an interesting one if any mistakes are made. Alright, we should be just about all set. I think Space Ghost is saying it's good to go, and I think we are ready to get back to racing. Countdown timer has indeed started. You need to hold up on the grid. Make sure you don't click the buttons too quick. Looks like Squids is apparently on wheel for the first time, so he's getting used to that. Should be interesting. So we're just gonna hang out until drivers get their setups set up. We will get ready to go racing relatively shortly, about a minute or so before we get properly run underway. And look at that. People have not readied up right away. They're doing so well today, and I'm so proud of them. Thank you all for sticking around as we get dialed in and just about ready to get underway. Nobody's still hit the good to go button. They're just kind of waiting here to make sure that everybody's got a chance to get all the strategies set, and then we'll load up. And there it goes. Countdown timer has indeed begun. So, we'll bring the game back on screen here. We will preliminarily silence the David Croft. It does appear to be relatively sunny today, so no rain here to speak of so far in this one. So we should be underway. And off the line we go, and Chronicle, the only driver to opt for the soft compound tires. Otherwise, looks to be an even-ish split. 4 medium tire runners, 5 hard tire runners of the 10. Stolen Valor, Renovatio, Space Ghost, Oba Mendes, and Squids on the hards. John Lemon, Zhao, Project Stealth on the mediums. So as they form up on the grid, we'll bring the game audio back up. Unfortunately, that involves a quick pause of the game, but we can get rid of that. 10 drivers down, a decent run into turn 1. Hopefully we can get through cleanly. There is usually an opportunity for some kind of shambles and mess into this first corner as drivers get themselves a bit sorted out. But 5 red lights are up. 5 red lights are out, and away we go. Looks to be a good start for Renovatio in 3rd. Good start for Space Ghost in 5th as well. John Lemon has gotten a good start, and up the inside is Chronicle, and I think he's just back up. Oh, and Renovatio has spun and gone into the side in a huge mess as Renovatio just kind of was sliding across the grass, ended up spearing the Aston Martin of Chronicle, and I think has caught Project Stealth in that melee as well. Squids right up on the back, and his big wiggle from Zhao there as he's trying to get on the power and get around. Ivory Lightning sneaks up the inside and just about squeezes him out of space at the tail end. Chronicle making their way past Zhao. Now we'll see if any of those drivers had significant damage. Squids hopping across the curb there, having a rough time at the start of this one. But in the lead, you've got Stolen Valor, a second clear of John Lemon, who is a second clear of Space Ghost. So it's already spreading out a fair bit here at the start of this race, and Renovatio is going to have to limp around with no wing and hope for some kind of safety car. Well off the track is Squids to the outside of the chicane. Big mistake there for the McLaren, and it will continue to be tough as, it looks like John Lemon's had a bit of an adventure in turn 11. I think he's managed to stay damage-free, but that has dropped him from 2nd to 4th now behind the Ferrari of Oba Mendes. Chronicle a little bit deep in the hairpin. Has got to try and make hay while those soft tire suns are shining. They are the quickest tire by a decent margin, but they fall off very quickly, being 2 steps softer compounds than those medium compound tires. So Oba Mendes, your big gainer, up into 5th. Ivory Lightning up 5 positions. Ivory Lightning up 4 positions. Everybody else dropping and moving just by 1 or 2, aside from Renovatio, who is had a big mistake there in turn 1. And wide of the apex is Ivory Lightning. So pit stops being made. Squids is now onto the soft tire. Renovatio onto the medium as he had to take some wing damage. We'll keep an eye on this battle with John Lemon and Oba Mendes. John Lemon showing good pace this race weekend and should be in position to attack with the DRS on once it becomes enabled the next lap. Although it looks a little out of sorts on the exit of the chicane, Ivory Lightning has got a run. He's in the slipstream, but is going to just tuck in, and John Lemon really putting the pressure on the Ferrari. A little wide onto the gravel. Oh, contact between Ivory Lightning and Chronicle as I think they both tried to kind of bail out from the mistake of John Lemon ahead. And it's forced them both kind of off the track. Ivory Lightning now falls behind Chronicle as quite a few mistakes being made up and down the field in this race. Stolen Valor running away from the field has got to put some serious points on Space Ghost. It's mathematically getting a little bit nip and tuck to the end, although he needs his teammate Oba Mendes to also put some pressure on Space Ghost as well as I attempt to grab the right fight. There it is. Chronicle and Ivory Lightning, the closest on track, and he needs Oba Mendes to take those P2 points away from Space Ghost as well, so the delta between the two is more significant. Chronicle out of the session, a mistake through turn 5, and that is going to be a virtual safety car at the start. We'll see, does it get upgraded to a full safety car? It looks like at the moment it is staying just virtual to clear that stricken Aston Martin, but we've seen so many drivers, actually that was turn 6, 6 and 7 that he's made that mistake. We'll see if we can get on board with Squids as he's going to come through. They might have that car cleared by the time the McLaren arrives, but he may have just oversteered and got to the inside wall. We'll see. And they just cleared it, so we didn't really get an eye on where that was. But with the car clear, virtual safety car, the field stays as they are. And we will wait as DRS is now enabled. We should be back to green flag racing once again. And it looks like we are indeed back to that green flag racing. In the lead is Stolen Valor. Oba Mendez lost a little bit of ground to Space Ghost in that VSC time. Zhao is very close to the back. Wide of the apex is Ivory Lightning. And this with the DRS, Zhao will have an opportunity to go around the outside. Has to leave space on the apex as Ivory's still there. A little bit of contact as Ivory didn't really go to the racing line. Oh, Jean Lemon is around through turn 4, a mistake from the Alfa Romeo driver. And after a stellar qualifying performance, a mistake from John Lemon, and he's down into 7th. However, quite a buffer to Squids and Renovatio behind. So should have an opportunity to get back on track and start chipping away at the cars ahead. Still about 3 seconds is the margin out in front. Oba Mendez now 1.6 seconds off of that group. And after that, it's a 3-second gap to this battle. Ivory Lightning and Zhao down into turn 11. Ivory Lightning with the DRS. And up onto the curbing he goes. And should stay relatively close through these sweepers. Although depending on the downforce levels, it looks like he may have been just about inside that 1 second mark at the detection point. Project Stealth, a big snap of oversteer and is gone around. And around is the Alpine of Project Stealth. John Lemon back up into 6th place as a result. And it looks like Ivory Lightning has indeed lost the DRS to Zhao ahead. Oba Mendez creeping back into that 1 second margin of Space Ghost as Stolen Valor extends his lead of the race. 3.8 seconds. We're 5 laps into this 29-lap race. The hards can go about 25 laps, so drivers that opted to start on the mediums, a safety car now would give them a cheap pit stop, and they could go to the end of the race. But as it shakes out, 3 hard tires up front, mediums the rest of the way, Squids on 2-lap-old softs, and Renovatio on mediums as well. And chronicle your only retirement of the race so far. Squids, first man to pick up that 3-second track limits time penalty. And Oba Mendez just losing a little bit of ground down the straights there, and it is up to 1.3 the margin. So kind of a static race at this stage, although it's less of Oba Mendez slowing down and more of Space Ghost speeding up, because as the gap got nearly to 4 seconds, Oba Mendez, had closed up to nearly a second. Now only 3.4 to the leader as Space Ghost has pushed the pace. And a mistake from Stolen Valor out of the final corner. That is a huge time loss. It's now 1.8 the margin. So it's pretty much even spacing between the Ferrari, McLaren, Ferrari trio up at the front. Zhao still sitting at about 3 seconds, but is dropping the Mercedes of Ivory Lightning. Renovatio is starting to crawl up to the back of Squids after that lap 1 damage, but has quite the mountain to climb. He is 52 seconds off the race lead at this stage. And it looks like Squids has had either a mistake or was just slowing up and not fighting Renovatio down that back straight. It looks like he just kind of let him through. But we will keep an eye out to see what the Squids is doing in that McLaren. A little bit of dirt on the tires, so he seems to have had a bit of an extracurricular adventure at some point. And now this, and here's another little trip through the grass, taking part in Valtteri Bottas's mowing company. But up at the front, about 2 seconds between each driver. Stolen Valor has clawed back a little bit of that time that was lost from the mistake out of the final corner. But it is indeed holding pretty steady. It did cost him a good almost 2 seconds. We'll stay with the Ferrari up in the front, see how he is able to navigate the final corner where mistakes were made. It's so easy to get on a little bit too aggressive on the throttle and have a snap of oversteer. But that time looks nice and tidy through that. And has gained quite a bit of time, and it sets the fastest lap of the race, does Stolen Valor, 23.562. Oba Mendez still trying to work his way back up to the DRS zone of Space Ghost. 2 seconds the margin between them, but Zhao also starting to put a little bit of the hammer down. 2.2 seconds. The margin was about 3.5 a couple of laps ago, so Zhao is finding some pace. I believe he does need to do so on those mediums before they start to fall up. About 19 laps of life you will get out of those medium tires. So you should expect some significant degradation, probably around lap 15, 16 as they start to die out a little bit, but not huge deg around this track. And is part of the reason why the C5 is the soft tire that is opted for around here, especially with the changes. Taking out turn 9 and 10 gives a much... The old 9 and 10 gives a big straight line straight line section, although it's very curvy. And well off the track as Oba Mendez hops over the gravel, able to keep the car corralled, but that is going to cost him the DRS zone to Zhao, who in the AlphaTauri now really smelling blood after that mistake, and is going to be right up in the rear wing of the Ferrari, who needed to be there to help pressure Space Ghost for the championship. It has now dropped out. Another mistake from Oba Mendez, feeling the heat, as now the AlphaTauri really getting a much better launch off that final corner. DRS is open. Down the front straight they go. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? Not quite close enough. You do get that second dose of DRS. Oh, well over the curbs there is Zhao. That's a huge momentum loss. He'll be able to try and close back up a little bit with the DRS, but running over the curbing there lost quite a bit of momentum, and that mistake has actually cost him, looks to be the DRS zone just about. 3.2 seconds the margin out in the lead of this race. Oba Mendez now 2.7 off the back of Space Ghost, though starting to claw into that gap once again. Renovatio 29 seconds off of Project Stealth. As we take a look, he's still maintaining the leader's pace, 51.2 seconds off the lead. A couple of laps ago, he was sitting at about 53, so he is gradually catching up to the leader, but if you're only making 1 or 2 seconds a lap, or 1 second a lap, you need 50 laps, and we don't have that for him. He is going to need either a big mistake from the entire lead pack or some kind of safety car to group the pack back up, because as it stands, Renovatio going through turn 5, and the next car up the road, Project Stealth, approaching turn 11. Actually, turns 6 and 11, they hit pretty much simultaneously. Oba Mendez, though, getting back into that margin of Space Ghost. Now it's 2.3, and Oba Mendez setting the fastest lap of the race this time by. So is got some pace in that Ferrari still. We should see the pit window open up for the medium tire runners at about lap 15, lap 16. You don't want to go too deep on those mediums. You can see drivers go as early as lap 13 because the hards will do such a race distance, but the longer you can take the mediums with good pace, the less fuel you'll have on board when you bolt those hards on. And the tire degradation and car weight has a very even effect per lap on the cars on the hard compound tires. So you pretty much tend to stick at about the pace you put the tires on, the hard tires on, for the rest of your stint. It's not like you're going to see significant fall off and lose tons of pace as the tires start to lose grip. But there's been a mistake by Oba Mendez. Although as he gets into the DRS zone, Zhao once again, a mistake as he got right into the attacking zone and falls out one more time. And Oba Mendez had a mistake himself as he is now 3 seconds back of the Space Ghost. Ivory Lightning, next driver to pick up that 3-second time penalty. Although with 5 seconds to John Lemon behind, it is not likely going to hurt at this stage of the Grand Prix. Now, granted, 9 drivers left in this one, not particularly close to each other. Less likely risk of a coming together between cars that causes an incident. However, you see that snap and that wiggle from the Ferrari of Oba Mendez as he came across the curbs, and Zhao once again getting inside the DRS. But as I was saying, this track does have some solo error generators where mistakes can be made. Turn 5 being one of the biggest culprits, that high-speed right-hander. Basically in F1's 2019, 2020, and 2021, I was a flat-out, could keep the throttle pinned and make that corner even in race conditions. Now with the 2022 cars, a little bit less downforce through there, a little bit stiffer sprung, and the car can get unsettled, especially if you take that curbing. And well, Zhao is really starting to try and close up to Oba Mendez. He's made mistakes through the turn 9-10 chicane a couple of times already. Can he keep it tidy this time around? And it's Oba Mendez who is wide this time, and now Zhao is through. He's going to use that DRS, flip that open, and should actually have an opportunity to try and get outside the DRS range of the Ferrari of Oba Mendez ahead. There's quite a few dirt lines on the track as several drivers have had their expeditions off the circuit. But now Oba Mendez 1.6 seconds off the back of the AlphaTauri, and that is going to be Zhao who is now going to try and pressure Space Ghost. And I think at this point, Stolen Valor doesn't care who takes points off of Space Ghost. He just needs somebody to take points off of Space Ghost. Renovatio not really making any inroads on the cars around him at this stage. Ivory Lightning is into the pit lane. We'll see what tires he opts for. The hard tires go on, and he has a full pit stop gap to his quick team. But oh, there's been a spinner. I believe that is Squids, who is now stationary. Has he had a spin, or is he just kind of pulled off the track to let the lead lap cars go through? He looks to be undamaged. He may have just parked the car off the circuit to let the lead lapped runners through. He is on 8-lap-old softs. You would likely expect him to be in the pit lanes very, very soon. But now Zhao has closed up that gap. It has gone from 4.1 to 2.7. I believe Space Ghost has had a little mistake in there somewhere as well, as Space Ghost now 4.7 off the back of the Ferrari of Stolen Valor. As we get to the nitty-gritty of the end portions of this season, another thing we'll keep an eye out for is that extra bonus point. Fastest lap currently sits with Ferrari, but with Oba Mendez, so it is one that we should see come tumbling down after the first round of pit stops. We should see a little bit quicker pace in the closing stint. But right now, Stolen Valor would love to have that extra bonus point, I am sure. Yellow flags once again. I believe that is Squids pulling off the racing line. Yep, it is indeed Squids pulling off the racing line to leave some space for the lead lap cars to go by him, as I believe Squids is the only car at this stage one lap down in this race. Renovatio continues to make small inroads on the leader, now down to 49 seconds off the back. Pit time loss about 18 to 21 seconds, depending on how good you are on that pit entry. But that is kind of the ballpark we've been seeing for time lost in the pit lanes in green flag conditions. Stolen Valor comfortably out of undercut range. He's running the hard tires that will go a very long way. Essentially, he's in a perfect position to stay out on track, and as soon as he sees Space Ghost pit, just come in the very next lap. He should be well outside of any kind of undercut range. You won't make up 4 seconds on an undercut. Now, speaking of making up time, though, and undercuts, Zhao 3 seconds off the back, or 2 seconds off the back of Space Ghost now, and has been steadily closing. Now, a really good lap with the undercut could get him inside that 2 seconds, but he does have those medium tires, and they should start to lose a little bit of performance soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of Zhao, Jean Lemon, and Project Stealth get themselves into the pit lane relatively quickly here, depending on how much tire life they've got in this one. But it's been a relatively quiet race as Division 4 standards go. Only the one virtual safety car early on in this one. Only the one retirement is Chronicle. Still 9 drivers making their way around the track, and as I say that, there's another yellow flag. I believe that is Squids, though, just cutting the corner of turn 2, hopping over that gravel, but seems to be relatively safe on his way around, and I believe he's about to go a lap down to the second Mercedes, and now is a lap down to every driver on the field. So unfortunately, with no lucky dog type thing and no wave around in the game, typically, Squids will struggle to get back on the lead lap. However, only 9 drivers in this race, and of course, if you finish, you've scored points, and Zhao has lost quite a bit of time to Space Ghost now. I think those medium tires may be just about done and dusted. One fight that is getting close is Project Stealth and John Lemon, but as I say that, John Lemon peels into the pit lane, nice and comfortably on the brakes to make sure he does not pick up that speeding penalty, and is going to be the first of the green flag medium tire runners well, second rather, to pit as Ivory Lightning did so 2 laps ago. So Zhao, Project Stealth, the only 2 remaining on the circuit at this stage on those medium tires. The hard tire runners will likely go another few laps beyond the midway point of this race. Although typically lap 16 or 17 is the ideal spot to get off those hard tires, because the mediums will do the rest of the race relatively comfortably from there. Only about 12 laps left to go. You can get 10 laps or so out of the softs, but they are a very significant and steady degradation. Very quick do they lose their pace advantage. Within 2 or 3 laps, they lose an advantage to a similarly aged set of medium tires. So Space Ghost now starting to chip away at Stolen Valor. They're both on the hard compound tires, so they're essentially running like for like. And now Stolen Valor, who had that nearly 5-second cushion, now just has 2.6 and does have to start thinking about a potential undercut from Space Ghost. However, was that a situation where Space Ghost burned a lot of battery? And it actually, Mendez, I think. No, Zhao is into the pit lane. He's onto the hard compound tires. Away he goes. And we will see where he comes out in relation to the cars around him. It looks like Squids is in the pit lane. He's getting off those soft compound tires, as you would expect him to, as they were quite worn. Is now onto a set of hards that will get him to the rest of this race distance. Zhao comes out in comfortable clean air, and now just has 4 drivers ahead of him who need to make a pit stop. He is within the pit window of all but, well, he's in the pit window of, it would appear, Oba Mendez, Project Stealth. He's not quite in the pit window of Stolen Valor and Space Ghost, so he could undercut Oba Mendez on his way to a podium finish if he is able to turn in some good laps on these fresh hard compound tires. Ivory Lightning starting to close up onto John Lemon a little bit, although John Lemon has made his pit stop and is going to lose a little bit of time as he gets the tires up to temperature. It looks like Space Ghost had taken a good chunk of time out of Stolen Valor, but then it stabilizes. I wonder if he's just kind of got the even pace. And oh, there's yellow flags. Nope, that is Squids letting a car by. We are lap 16 of 29 now, and it is getting interesting. Space Ghost needing to likely charge the battery and then go for an almighty lap on the outlap to try and undercut Stolen Valor, get it close. He doesn't need to make the move stick initially, but he does need to be close enough as Stolen Valor gets those tires up to temperature. The medium tires, they're cold till you get to about lap or turn 6 or 7, and then you've got them kind of up to racing energy. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll keep an eye on Stolen Valor as he's working his way through the last couple of corners. Does Stolen Valor cover the potential undercut? Space Ghost out to 3.4 seconds now, though. So looks like Stolen Valor, no, staying out on the circuit is the Ferrari. Space Ghost as well. So they will continue to drive these hard tires. Maybe looking to gamble for a safety car at some point. But you've got such big time gaps between all the drivers at this stage of the race that it would take a solo mistake for anybody. Although, as I say that, solo mistake, and it looks like Ivory Lightning has had that solo mistake. And now his teammate Renovatio is going to come through. He's going to jump off the track racing line to make sure he doesn't impede his teammate too much. But now, well, the solo mistake has happened, but has managed to keep it out of the barriers. And there's another yellow flag. That is Project Stealth, and he has had a spin through turn 2. Old medium tires. Is that a puncture? Has he punctured them? I wouldn't expect them to. They should go about 19 laps, but that is a big time loss for the Alpine driver, and now has John Lemon, who is on a set of nice, fresh, hard tires, does not have to make a stop, and Project Stealth not even going to fight it, just going to lift and let him through. So once again, the leaders are working their way through the final little bits. of the circuit, and once again, Stolen Valor stays out. The lead ballooning back up to 4 seconds. And Space Ghost once again staying out as well. The top 3 yet to make a stop, as Oba Mendez as well stays out there. So all 3 of the top 3 runners on hard compound tires that have not yet stopped in this race. Project Stealth, the only other driver that needs to make a stop by rules standards. Renovatio likely to need another stop before the end of this one because he is on a set of 15 lap old medium tires. So he will have to make another pit stop. And this one will likely fall behind his teammate in the end. It has gone back up to about 50 seconds the margin for Renovatio to the race leaders. So he is starting to lose ground now to the top 3, and it looks like it's going to be a relatively low point scoring day for the championship hopeful Renovatio. Needed a big haul of points today to stay in the fight, sitting about 60 points off the championship. Ivory Lightning, though, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings puts him on 6 seconds worth of time penalties. We check the tires once again. Zhao and John Lemon well spaced from each other, and I believe that is Project Stealth once again struggling in the first sector. Ooh, a little wide is Oba Mendez there, and this time Project Stealth has taken damage. He's made contact with the barrier in turn 3 and is just waiting for the cars to pass to rejoin. And now I think he may have just gone too long on those mediums. They really hit a very high degradation phase towards the tail end of that life. They really chew up, and Squid's slow out of the pit lane to let the leaders through. And once again, the leaders are still on those hard tires. And now they're in a window where the softs can get to the end. They won't be the best tire on the planet for those remaining 10 laps, but they will do 10 laps without puncturing. Oba Mendez is, though, into the pit lane. So, making a stop is the Ferrari onto the medium compound tire. Zhao actually sets the fastest lap of the race on that lap on his hard compound tires, and now it's time for Oba Mendez to try and push ahead and try and catch. He's got to make nearly 8 seconds on Zhao. He does have the softer compound and much younger one, Ivory Light or Renovatio, into the pit lane now. So that will be his requisite pit stop done, and we'll grab the race leaders to see if they are indeed going to make a stop into the pit lanes on this lap here as they get ready. Would only be a 9-lap race to the finish on those soft compound tires, and we will see what race leader Stolen Valor opts to do. He is staying out, so no pit stop for the Ferrari nor the McLaren. So Stolen Valor and Space Ghost essentially at this stage daring the other to blink first. Space Ghost needs to put in some laps in order to close up the gap, and Project Stealth is going to come out nearly a lap down, and he's going to be right in between Stolen Valor and Space Ghost, but will adhere to those blue flags and easily let them by. 4.2 seconds the margin. Is Stolen Valor starting to push a bit on this lap? Is he maybe upping the pace to go for an in-lap and try and get a new set of tires on? So they've got to make a stop at some point. And I think they're just kind of daring the rest of the field to make a mistake and call out a safety car. But it's been essentially a waiting game for this entire race. Not a lot of side-to-side, wheel-to-wheel battles, but it has stayed green flag racing pretty much the entire way. So working through turns 10. Oh, I was about to say turns 11 and 12. That is turns 9 and 10. Now that old turns 9 and 10 are gone. And this is no longer turn 13. It is turn 11. 3.9 the margin. Space Ghost caught a little bit in on Stolen Valor this last lap. Has made a couple of tenths in, and Stolen Valor now opting for the pit lane. So he has blinked. Space Ghost, on the other hand, stays out. So what tires does Stolen Valor opt for? Is he going to go mediums, or is he going to go on to the softs? He's on to the medium tires, and now should have an opportunity to come out and put in some laps. He's well clear of the trailing Zhao, who did make that undercut work on Oba Mendez. However, down to 5.7 seconds, the margin between those two could get close by the end of this one. So now Stolen Valor just needs a strong outlap. Oba Mendez on the fastest lap of the race, improving it to a 21.8. Stolen Valor on the right kind of tires, though, to get that fastest lap point away from his own teammate. And that would definitely help Stolen Valor out in the race championship. And it looks like Space Ghost is tucked up behind the runner of Project Stealth. I think he's maybe trying to take DRS off of him. As Project Stealth is going to be getting some blue flags, although it is a hard versus soft tire compound issue. If he keeps getting blue flags, he's going to have to move out of the way. Though he doesn't seem to be, he seems to be only slightly holding up Space Ghost, and this could be crucial for Stolen Valor. Renovatio on the soft tires has set the fast lap, and I think Space Ghost staying out on track is just kind of tentative approval of just kind of leeching the DRS off of Project Stealth ahead. I think Project Stealth may have an opportunity to try and get clear. He does have a better fastest lap. I believe that was on the most recent lap. So he is slightly pulling away from Space Ghost and might be getting just outside that blue flag range. And yes, the light box is no longer blinking. So that means Project Stealth has successfully unlapped himself and is going to start running away on those soft tires. Now, a safety car would be a huge situation for Project Stealth to get that. But Space Ghost staying out on track. Stolen Valor is closing the gap. That margin coming down every single time. And now Space Ghost is going to come out some 7 seconds behind Stolen Valor if he opts to pit on this lap. At this point, Space Ghost, I think, is just gambling for a safety car. I don't think there's any other strategic choice that he has. He's nearly going to be somewhere around Zhao if he pits on this lap. So it's a significant time loss, and he stays out once again. And I think we may see it's 18 seconds back to Zhao. And well, Stolen Valor and Oba Mendez even might be coming into the pit window. Yellow flags. Oba Mendez is out of this session. Is that going to be the safety car that Space Ghost needs? It is a safety car. Space Ghost, with the patience, has stayed out, has gotten that safety car. And Project Stealth, who had unlapped himself, I believe. I'm not sure. He may be 2 laps down. But it is the Ferrari that has hurt the Ferrari, the retirement from Oba Mendez, at about the worst possible time for Stolen Valor. He needed Space Ghost to have to react and take that pit stop. But now, Space Ghost should have a pretty safe pit stop to Stolen Valor. And I think Stolen Valor may consider coming in for the soft tires as well. He's got 9 seconds to Zhao behind. Zhao is almost certainly going to make a stop because he is on some older hard tires. I think if you're Stolen Valor, you have to make this pit stop. Even if it drops you behind Zhao, you would have fresh softs on the back of some old hard tires. Space Ghost is absolutely going to pit now. And into the pit lane he does indeed come, but a tough day for Oba Mendez. That just little mistake right in the last corner. And very safe into the pit lane is Space Ghost. What tires are in hand? It does look to be the red-walled softs into the pit lane. Stolen Valor has stayed out, and he might inherit the lead of this. He's going to go by Space Ghost, so now it's going to be 3-lap-old mediums versus 1-lap-old softs. Zhao did come into the pit lane, so he did make that stop. Zhao is going to change the tires, so Stolen Valor did have the free stop behind him. And now the tire change done for Space Ghost, so we will see it. I don't know if it was the right move from Stolen Valor to stay out. It is track position, and you will only get, let's see, if it goes green on 25 to start 25, you may have 1 lap worth of DRS at the end of this race. The field very spread, and I would estimate that they might actually even, they might not wait for the Mercedes drivers to get all the way up to the pack. They are going to need to really pelt it around in order to catch the pack here. It does bring this lead battle into play with just a few laps left to go in this race. Lap 24 of 29 under safety car conditions now. We'll see if anybody else is going to make any kind of stop. Keep an eye out. Project Stealth has already stopped at the start of this safety car period. Zhao now closing up to the back of the clan, and will be in range for that. Squids is going to be a car that is on a lap down, that is going to be in the middle of the train if it continues, and it looks like there will be enough time for at least Squids and John Lemon to catch up the pack. But those two Mercedes, still a long way back, have not made a lot of time. They shouldn't be under Delta conditions anymore. They should be pretty much going at full pace to try. If they're not going at full pace, they're not going to catch the safety car before it restarts this race, I don't think. I think the two Mercedes need to go full push at this stage. We'll keep an eye on the telemetry. It looks like they're going. Obviously not using any overtake, but yeah, Ivory Lightning is pushing now to try and close the gap to the safety car. 45 seconds off the back of the pack. I think they can make up probably about 30 in this lap. The safety car, not the slowest thing in the world, it's decently quick. We'll just have to wait and see. The Mercedes both coming down the pit straight as the rest of the field goes through Sector 1. They have made up about 12 seconds or so on the pack. John Lemon connected to the rear of the pack. Has the lap down car of Squids in the middle there. I would expect the way Squids has been driving today and the way he's been kind of pulling aside, and Project Stealth picking up a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Surely they will not wait for Project Stealth to close all the way up to the field to go back to green flag racing. It's probably going to take several laps for that to happen. Mercedes getting closer, but not there yet. We're at the second sector split. Safety car still not been called in. We did see a late safety car in lap call earlier this race weekend in Div R. It did wait until after turn 11 to call in the safety car, so we will just have to see if that's going to be the case, as Ivory Lightning and Renovatio still hustling to try and catch up. They may be a situation where they catch the back of the pack with some nice piping hot soft tires, but it looks like we are going one more lap under safety car conditions. So it will be lap 27 of 29 when we go back to green flag racing. And that will mean no DRS available for the rest of this race. So exciting stuff. Zhao, John Lemon in the mix as well, though John Lemon on some fairly old soft tires compared to the rest. Now, even though they are laps under safety car and the tire wear is reduced, it's not completely negated. You do have to do, as you see the drivers weaving, to put some heat in the tires. And with the soft tires, that does take tire life out of them, so it does lose some of that percentage. And a couple of laps under safety car conditions could be the difference between some really good performance at the end, or starting to get a little bit of a crossover. Stolen Valor on those five lap old mediums should have pretty much standard pace, nothing special about them. Space Ghost and Zhao, though, do have an opportunity to really push on at the start of this one. Project Stealth into the pit lane once again, back onto a set of soft tires. I don't believe that the safety car will wait for Project Stealth this time. Safety car is then in this lap. We have gotten the call. So now, Stolen Valor, rather, will slow the pack up and get ready to let the safety car get in. There's nearly a crash. There is contact. You guys, you're under safety car conditions. And we're just not paying attention. Stolen Valor really slowed the pack up quite significantly. And now, I believe John Lemon has some damage from that, as there was basically a car stopped on the inside of the racing line. I believe that is Squids pulling off the inside to just let the lead lap cars through. But we will grab the race information. And we will see when Stolen Valor opts to send this back to green flag racing. He's raised the pace a little bit out of the corner. And now he's gone. And, well, Space Ghost was not caught off guard. He was right on the ball. And it is very close between those two as they head down into turn 1. And Stolen Valor needed a restart to catch Space Ghost napping, but that was not the case. And now Space Ghost looking to go for the lead, has the outside lane into turn 3. Inside is Stolen Valor, and Space Ghost with the superior soft tire grip sweeps around the outside and takes the lead away from his main championship rival. Zhao now on the back of Stolen Valor, as well as those soft tires have fired up much quicker than those mediums. And Ivory Lightning is in the mix, but carrying 6 seconds worth of time penalties. And look at the gap. Stolen Valor falling now 6/10 back of Space Ghost. And now Zhao is going to have a go at the Ferrari driver. This could be a huge swing in the championship hopes. I said it initially. I think it was a mistake for Stolen Valor to trade track position for the tires. And those medium tires are not doing the job compared to the soft compound. Space Ghost extending now 8/10 the lead. There will be no DRS to the end of this race. Any overtakes will have to be done the old-fashioned way, but Zhao is right in attacking range as Stolen Valor now almost a second off the back of Space Ghost. It'll take a mistake from Space Ghost to really bring Stolen Valor back into this one, 1.1, but the superior grip that the soft tires are giving is really caught Stolen Valor out. And now Zhao is closing up to the back with a good run. Zhao may have an opportunity to attack, and it looks like he's gotten that run he needs now in the slipstream of the Ferrari ahead. 3/10 the margin. They get to the braking zone, not quite close enough to make an attack. And I think for now, Stolen Valor can breathe a semi-sigh of relief, but the Alpha Tauri is indeed pressuring still, going for those podium positions. Out in front, 1.5 seconds the margin between Space Ghost and Stolen Valor. Zhao now closing it to a quarter of a second in the slipstream through this high-speed section. Now just 2/10. Is he going to try and make a move down into the chicane? He has a little wiggle look to the inside. Doesn't put his nose up in there, but has he caught Stolen? No, Stolen Valor under the pressure has picked up a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to be it for Stolen Valor's hopes at a podium, barring any kind of major incident with Space Ghost out ahead. Zhao on the gearbox now doesn't even have to overtake for the podium, for the P2 position. Stolen Valor is going to fall to 3rd place now in this one. Ivory Lightning is carrying more time. Oh, and around is Stolen Valor. So it's gone from bad to worse. A 3-second time penalty for Stolen Valor. And my mistake in math, it is 1 lap worth of DRS going to be available, or 1.5 rather, as lap 28 and 29. And all the way down goes Stolen Valor. And has he picked up wing damage? We'll stay on this shot to see if we can see off the car here if he's got damage. He looks to be undamaged. It looks to be just been a pirouette. But Space Ghost with 2.1 second margin now just gets to stroll his way to a race victory. Sorry, it is lap 29 now. We're just waiting for him to cross the start-finish line. So it is just the final DRS detection point that will give DRS, but nobody's in that margin anymore. Stolen Valor 11 seconds off the back of Renovatio. And Squids is out. Squids has had a crash, but he has completed 90%, so he will be classified. But Squids will score some P8 points in this race somehow. But Space Ghost working into the final sector, very much just in a bring-it-home mode, as he has lost about a half a second to Zhao behind over the last half a lap. We'll see. Project Stealth is actually might be contesting Stolen Valor. Stolen Valor pulls to the inside. Stolen Valor's going to lose another place. And across the line comes Space Ghost to extend his championship lead. Zhao comes home in second. The Mercedes will flip around. Renovatio somehow snags a podium out of this. Somehow a podium for Renovatio. Ivory Lightning, just by virtue of having slightly more time penalties, comes home in 4th. Project Stealth will come home 5th. Stolen Valor, with that 3-second time penalties and that rough day, comes home in 6th. So from leading the race he comes home and from leading the race with 3 laps left to go is P6. Not the result that I'm sure Stolen Valor would have been hoping for. The medium tires he just got 8 up on, and then all of a sudden, that mistake out of the final corner, around he went, and Renovatio from lap 1, damage, running 50 seconds off the lead, somehow comes home in 3rd place. And just like that, Space Ghost is going to extend his championship lead in what was looking like a good opportunity before that safety car for Stolen Valor to chew into the championship. That safety car coming out as a result of Oba Mendez's retirement gave Space Ghost the essentially free pit stop, nearly free, did lose the track position, but then, had the better tires, made the overtake on track, and that was the end of it. Somehow, Renovatio came home standing on the steps of the podium, spraying some champagne. What an interesting result we had there. Let's make sure to skip through, as there has been the bug, and yeah, there's the timer already. If we waited for that entire animation to play out, I wouldn't have gotten the final results. But your provisional results: Space Ghost home first, Zhao in P2, Renovatio with a podium and the fastest lap point. You had Ivory Lightning, Project Stealth, Stolen Valor in 6th, John Lemon 7th. Squids, I believe, will be classified 8th because he crashed on the... Oh, no, but he was a couple laps down. We'll have to look and see what his actual spacing was. Oba Mendez and then Chronicle, your 2 retirements in this race. Squids might have not been... I think he was 3 laps down and then retired plus 1 lap. I think he may be outside the 90% distance. But that is the end of our racing for Saturday's running. So thank you all for joining me once again. An exciting event. It was not the barnstormer that we've seen sometimes in Div 4, but it did get interesting at the very end. It was an interesting strategic race based on what the front 2 runners were doing, running very long. But that is the end of that. We're back to action tomorrow, PC Division 3 at 7 p.m. UTC. And then we have PC Division 2 right after that. Should be right around 8:30 p.m. UTC. But thank you all for joining me once again. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.